Elena is there. Elena, how you doing?
Hey, how are you? I'm
Good.
fine, and you?
Where are you from?
I'm from France and I live in Ireland.
Okay, that's cool. That's a big mix there. That's pretty cool. I used to live in France. I always show off to everyone about my language skills. Je peux te parler en français si tu veux, mais ça fait beaucoup de temps que je n'ai pas parlé un mot de français, donc j'ai oublié tout.
Très bien.
Merci, mais personne peut nous comprendre. So we should speak in English, but I've shown off just enough. How's Ireland? Where are you in Ireland?
I'm on the west coast.
Lovely.
West, and wild, wet west of Ireland.
I bet it's beautiful, though.
It's magnificent. It's magnificent.
Well, tell me, what's your background and life up to about the age of 9 years old? Where did you grow up in France as well?
Well, I was born in Marseille, south of France, and yes, dans le Midi. And I grew up there until the age of 18, and I went to Paris to study archaeology. So I became an archaeologist afterwards, and I had many adventures.
Oh, very cool. I used to live in Montpellier, not far from Marseille.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I loved it. I was there like 2 years, and then I got a job in book publishing in Bordeaux, which was also beautiful. So there you go. So you're on the show tonight to talk about something quite extraordinary, which is your alien abduction and what you remember about it. So yeah, give us an insight into what happened.
Well, at the age of 9, I was abducted in the night by gray aliens. To be fair, the night before, with other witnesses, we saw a UFO hovering above the house, and there were many other witnesses as well. And it was in the papers as well. Flying saucer, typical flying saucer shape, glowing orange, and it just zigzagged very, very quickly in the sky then. And in the same night, I was abducted in my bedroom by small gray aliens, and I went through some miseries on board this craft, and I was rescued by another group of aliens who are fighting them. Yeah, and that saved my life. Well, it saved me. The gray aliens weren't going to kill me. They were going to start a process of, many abductions. So the nice aliens rescued me, stopped that. Yeah.
Was this in the countryside outside of Marseille?
Full in town.
What?
Yes.
That's unusual, isn't it?
Well, not really in the south of France, because there's a lot of sightings of UFOs in the south of France, and in particular in this area, Provence, Marseille, and a bit countryside in the north. I suppose there's maybe something, never know, in the sea, or I don't know. Yeah, it's not that unusual there.
Oh, it's a very beautiful part of the world. They have these things called calanques, right? The calanques, the little beachy island places. So maybe the aliens like the countryside, the beauty of it and everything. So what can you remember of this night when you were taken?
Well, what I remembered was seeing the UFO with my granny, my sister, and then going to bed and waking up in the morning, my bed soaked with blood, and I had to be hospitalized and had markings on my wrists and all the classical things. Stayed 2 months in hospital, and I was always terrorized by the picture of gray aliens. I did Hypnosis recently in 2020. December 2020, and I got the memory back of this famous night. So what happened is that they beamed into my bedroom by a blue beam of light. They took me with them, and I make it short. I was taken
Make it
on board. Okay.
Yeah, we have. How long do we have? We have another 25 minutes.
Okay. Well, I don't know what your audience is and how will people react to this. But that's my life, and everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I'm a scientist, I'm an archaeologist, so I understand very well that people won't believe in this, and it's okay. So the beam of light, it's very interesting because it lifts you, and you're kind of solid light, not solid light, like a kind of weird gel light, and you're brought up. It goes through the roof, through the materials, through the walls. So I suppose it just maybe shift the density of the atoms. I wouldn't be able to explain it really. I was terrified. It was horrible. There were 3 small greys with black suits, glossy black suits. Very, very terrifying. I was floated in the ship, went through an airlock, and they floated me through to a room. They took my nightgown very quickly. They're very used to that. It's a factory. They laid me down on a table, metallic table. It was quite dark in the ship, but there was this light above me, and I could see few devices around, but really only with my peripheral vision, because I was paralyzed. At the moment they took me into the beam, I was paralyzed. I was numb. I could see, my heart could beat, I could breathe, and I could hear, but I could not move a muscle. I could not even move my eyeballs, although I had my vision. Could feel the temperature.
Very frightening.
Oh my God, it's traumatizing. It's unbelievable. I mean, if you haven't gone through it, it's difficult to make it believable for people, because it's so intense. But that was just the start. Because when they, I've told this story many times, but it's always not easy. They lay me down on this table. They tied my wrist and my ankles and my neck with straps to the table, black straps. The straps around my wrist had tiny little needles. That's why I had markings afterwards, like bruises. It injected, I was explained later that by the positive, it is that it injected a product that was to numb my nervous system, to maintain the paralysis, I suppose. Well, they prepared me. I was only 9. I was not, mature, I was a kid. And they prepared me. They activated something, probably for the cycle to come. There's no other case in my family of somebody having the blood cycle that early, 9. It's always like 12, 14, They inserted something in me. It's quite horrible to talk about, so I feel a bit embarrassed to talk about that, but they inserted something within me. It was actually 2 empty bags, pouches, ready to receive eggs. So they were about to abduct me again to put eggs in it, but they didn't have the opportunity to do that. So they put these things in me, but they butchered me a bit because, they go very fast. Mm-hmm. I felt the pain though, and the burning, but I couldn't move. I couldn't even shout. And then there were 3 of them, and then another came, and it was different. The 3 were like synthetics, like robots, like synthetics. They had no expression. They were tinier, skinnier. And then came another one, looking like them, but a little bit bigger, and he looked like biologic, like alive, different. And he smelled like hell, like like poo, like rotten eggs. Its smell was terrible. And this one seemed to command the other ones. They seemed to talk by telepathy, and sometimes they were exchanging some strange sound, like crackling of insect. It was like frightening again. And then there was a big boom in another room in the ship, and I was terrified at that point, but that terrified even me more. The boom and voices of men shouting, and then the door exploded, and there was not smoke but dust everywhere, and maybe it was smoke, I don't remember. And two men, very tall men, entered. They had a spacesuit and helmet, transparent helmet, but with the room was the dark, kind of dim lights, and with some bright lights above and some places. So the reflections in the room were very difficult. I couldn't see their faces. They shot with the laser, like a pen, big pen, the synthetics, and one of the men grabbed the gray, who seemed to be their chief, by the throat and strangled him to death.
Oh.
These greys are ugly to our standards, and for kids, they are ugly and frightening. But seeing one dying strangled, that's disgusting. It's horrifying. It's gross.
And 9 years old.
Yes. Yes. I'm not the only kid. There's been millions like me. I was just lucky. And the two men undid the straps, and I was cold. I was naked, and it was cold in the ship, and the air was thin. One of them took me in his arms. They ran with me to the other room where they came from, and I understand we were teleported on board another ship because there was a big light, feeling of tingles in all my body, and like a vortex and flash of light. It's weird. And like a second later, we're in another ship, and the first thing I thought, the first thought that went through my head, my mind, was, it's warm. The physical sensation, it was warm, and it reassured me, the fact it was warmer and the air was more breathable. It was very bright in the ship. It was a different ship, and humanoids were there, and they took care of me. That's how it happened. So I don't know if you had questions to the point, or you want me to continue?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just well, maybe let's hear the full story then, if you want to continue, and then I'll ask some more.
Okay. There were 3 men and 1 woman in this ship. They were all dressed in blue suit, sparkly blue suit. The sparkly bit, it's because it's full of tiny metallic particles. It's like body armor, but it's very thin. That's why it's glittery. It looks like glittery with the light. They were all blonde, but I could distinguish that they had different features, that as if they were belonging to different races. So the 2 men who had rescued me removed their helmets. They were very beautiful. They had big eyes, bigger eyes than us. The eyes go a little bit farther, like this. Blue, blonde hair. One had short curly hair, and the other one straight, long. There was a 3rd man in the pilot seat. He was different again. He had a very long face, hooked nose, thinner slanted eyes, dark blue, and short blonde hair. And there was a lady. She was tiny, blonde as well, but triangular face. It was different race, triangular, and big green eyes, even bigger eyes, small nose, blue suit, and she took care of me. She washed the blood, and she took care of me. I couldn't see what she was doing. And after that, she tried to remove something I had in my head, because the Greys had put something in my head. I forget to tell that during the abduction. They drilled into my head. It was terribly painful. They put something and she tried to remove it. And then the guy who had rescued me, who seemed to be the captain of the ship, I suppose, he told her, well, I understand, he told her to not try to remove this thing, because it was difficult, apparently, where it was, but to hijack it and recalibrate it to their frequencies. So I don't know how she did that. She approached different instruments behind my head, and suddenly there was a big buzz in my head. It was very painful. And I could hear them speaking then, telepathically. And I could understand what they were saying.
Wow.
At that moment, I fell asleep. And they induced me the sleep. The lady put her hands in my shoulder and they induced me. At that time, well, yes, forget to say I was naked. So the guy who rescued me removed his jacket and he put it over me. It was very warm, very heavy, but very warm. It's a spacesuit jacket. And I fell asleep. I woke up. I had no idea how long after. I think it was obviously in the same night. I sat and I had this jacket over me, and I saw two men sat in the pilot seats. There was my rescuer, and I could see a screen in front of them, and there was the Earth. And then it hit me. That's when I realized my brain was calmed down and I was able to think properly. And that's when I realized I'm in space on board a spaceship, because that's Earth. Wow. And suddenly it was a revelation, well, obviously I understood I was taken by aliens, but when you're so traumatized, you don't think, you just go through it. And I saw the Earth, and the guy, the rescuer, he stood up, he came towards me, and he reassured me, he said, "Don't worry, we rescued you. They do that to children, but you are lucky. We were going to bring you back home, but we left something in you that we will be able to track you and to look after you and make sure they don't take you again. So we're here for you. Don't worry, it won't happen again."
Wow.
Yeah. So then they brought me back.
Dropped you home?
Yeah.
Wow. And no one bothered you again?
No. I had many contacts with these positive ETs after, but the Greys never, ever again.
So how did they get in touch, the positive people?
They, as long as I was a child, at the rate of about twice a year, they were appearing in my bedroom or either taking me on board their ship. All my childhood until I was about 18. It was either my rescuer, the guy with blonde, short, wavy hair, or either the lady. They would be in my room in the night and chat with me, or sometimes take me and show me stuff in the ship, like sit in the pilot seats, or show me holographic maps of the galaxy, things like this. They actually gave me a holographic, well, I saw it as holographic, but a map of the positions of a few different civilizations. And at the age of 18, I was in Paris in an art school. Before doing archaeology, I had an art degree. And they, in the middle of the school, they switched the device on as a communicator. And it drilled into my head. I had these big statics, and I fell on my knees because I was terrified. And I heard his voice speaking to me in French, saying to me, "Do not worry, we are just testing." It was the first time I heard his voice in my head. Otherwise, the contacts were only physical and talking like this, And from this moment, And they took me less with them, but they rather communicated with me like this.
Wow. Well, that's pretty interesting. I'm just wondering, why would these progressive aliens come and find a little girl in the middle of France somewhere? Don't they have better, bigger plans and things to do?
They have great, bigger plans to do. The thing is, they have been having fleets saving people, trying to rescue as much people as they could from abductions, especially children. So I was one of these children who was lucky enough to be rescued, but I'm not the only one. They I don't know how many ships, these people have. They used to rescue people like this. Yeah, and they have different. They're very numerous.
A question from Agent Orange: Did your health change? Did your health change, including your mindset?
A very interesting question. Very good. Yes, my health changed because after my abduction, I was hospitalized 2 months. They couldn't explain the bleeding. It was as if I had been raped, but I hadn't. But it was the same process, not by a human. And to explain the bleedings, it was impossible because, I stayed in my bedroom. Nobody came in my room. No. So it had to be the period. So the doctors had to find a solution. So it wasn't the period. They provoked it. They gave me the pill or something to boost the hormones at that time to provoke the period. That's why I last 2 months in hospital, and I had horrible abdominal pains. And I suffered from this all my life because, I was really fearing the end of the month all my life, because it was unbearable, the pain, because it hadn't been done naturally. I couldn't have children because I was wrecked inside, and psychologically, I had PTSD. I couldn't go to the dentist. Well, I had to at some stages, but it was great trauma. Either when I was a kid, hiding behind the seat, running, shouting, not willing to open the mouth. It's the sound of the instruments, And when I was an adult, I was more reasonable, but it was painful. And as the instrument, the drill would switch on, I would close my legs and very, very tightly, and that meant what it meant.
And so am I right in understanding that you didn't remember this until a recent hypnosis?
Yes.
But even the many times they visited you afterwards, that was gone from your memory.
Yes, and the guy told me that they wiped my memory from this night in purpose, because it was so traumatic that it would have wrecked my head all my life. So they waited 2018, because they were away for a time and they came back. In 2018, they took me on board a ship. I was in Ireland. It's a famous night of the Shannon incident. You can look it up. I was on board the ships, one of the ships. I can document that. They told me, now you're ready. We're going to give you back your memory from your abductions. So I started to have the memory through dreams, and it was not nice. So I decided to go for hypnosis, because I wanted to do it my way and in one go. And that was it. So took my courage to the hypnosis in December 2020, because I couldn't stand these dreams anymore.
Okay, because I'm somebody who suffers from sleep paralysis, and some of what you described about not being able to move at all while having very, very vivid sense of what is happening around you and a lot of fear is very, very similar to my experience of sleep paralysis. And then you say that you experienced a lot through dream after that, and it was then in hypnosis. So, I mean, how sure can you be that this wasn't a very, very real seeming dream?
Because it was real. It seemed real. You have different types of dreams. You have dreams, like fantasies, or the mind releases, it's normal process, healthy process of the mind. Then you can have premonition dreams, psychic dreams, but you can have also remembrance dreams when you have had trauma in your life and it comes back and back and back. And that seems very real. And then when you see the difference.
What's your mission now with your community, and you've got the YouTube channel and stuff? What are you thinking now?
Well, I think that everyone's story can help other people's stories. So I wrote a book, and 2 books actually, telling my story, telling all the information these good people are telling me, and it helped a lot. It has helped a lot of people who have been abducted, and to find who abducts them, and things like this. And I do a lot of meditation because I'm a spiritual person. And I do meditations to help people to find who they really are, and find the serenity and the strength and the confidence within themselves, take their power back. I do a lot of this, and that's my channel, what it is about, informing people about these ETs and helping everyone to find their power back. That's what I'm doing.
What do you think of the recent UAP, which is the unidentified aerial phenomena sightings, and that big US congressional hearing about UFOs?
Well, I think it's another staged thing. The governments will never themselves, I mean, the actual governments in power will never tell us the truth about ETs, because if they did, they would be in serious trouble, because the agreements they made with the governments in the past, in the 1950s, they are in it like here, they wouldn't, so this, it is just to say, oh yeah, UFOs are real. Now we think they are real. Yeah, no kidding. But they always want to keep some, an option aside to prepare stage kind of alien invasion. But I don't think it will happen now because people are aware and it won't work. But in case of, yes, UFO are real, there may be a threat, things like that. Come on, we know all about that. Will you just stop that and just tell the truth? They won't. It's the abductees and the contactees who are the disclosure, not the governments. So I think it's just to. It's not very helpful. These kind of congresses.
Well, okay. Thank you. And where can people find you and follow you? Where do you want to send people?
Well, you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Elena Danaan. I have a lot of interesting things there. My website, elenadanaan.org, O-R-G. You find everything about me and also how to get my books.
Oh, well, there you go. You heard it, everyone. Go and follow Elena Danaan. It's lovely and interesting, really fascinating. Easy saying some nice things. Thank you and bless your soul. Lovely woman, she says. So thank you very much for coming on, Elena.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
À plus dans le bus, like they say in France.